Hi everyone, it's Fiona at the Sandia Mountain Natural History Center. I am on Cibola National Forest land in the Sandia Mountains today, which is east of Albuquerque, New Mexico, if you're not familiar with this area. I am just over, or at about 7,000 feet. At 7,000 feet there tend to be a lot of Ponderosa pine trees, and going up the mountain from here as well. Ponderosas are common throughout the American West. You might be able to tell that the log I'm sitting on is charred. What does that mean? It means it's been burned in a forest fire. We're heading from the land owned by Albuquerque Public Schools, where the Sandia Mountain Natural History Center is, onto Cibola National Forest land here. As we hike up this little hill, what do you notice about the forest? There are a lot of trees here, aren't there? Very close together. This is what a lot of forests in the Southwest have looked like now for many years. But it wasn't always this way. Check out this area now, up the hill from the other one. This area has been thinned and burned in fire. What looks different about it? Yeah, the trees are spaced really far apart. This is primarily Ponderosa pine trees. There's lots of space in between them. And you can see these charred logs on the ground. When scientists have looked at the research of what a natural Ponderosa pine forest should look like before humans came into the equation, they found that they would be in kind of a groupy, clumpy style. And I didn't make that up. I learned that term from a forester. It's official. Where the trees, the stands of ponderosas, would be in clumps together, just like it sounds. And then in the area surrounding it, you would see a lot of open grassland and forbs and very small young trees. Most western forests are adapted to have forest fire. So why is it that for many years there haven't been many fires and they've grown so dense? Well, it started in the 1800s when new settlers were coming into the area, occupying land and bringing a lot of livestock with them. Cattle especially eat a lot of ground vegetation. So when the animals were getting rid of them, forest fires didn't get started as easily and didn't spread the way they're supposed to across the forest floor as small fires. There was also logging going on, and the patterns of cutting trees didn't mimic the natural patterns of the forest. Then in 1910, there was an especially bad fire year, and intensive fire suppression began. The goal was to put out any forest fire by the next day at 10 a.m. And then in the 1940s, the Forest Service came up with Smokey Bear. He became the symbol of putting out forest fires, of forest fires being seen as bad for the ecosystem. Then in 1950, a 3-month-old real bear cub was found after the Capitan Gap fire in southern New Mexico. It was eventually named Smokey and then moved to the National Zoo and became a true, real-life symbol of putting out forest fires. What can be done now when forests have become overcrowded due to lack of fire? If it's humans that made it this way, it's humans that can make it better again. Forest rangers came into this part of Cibola National Forest and wrote a prescription for it, much the same way a doctor would write a prescription for you if you're sick to make you healthier again. They took a look at the trees that are here. They looked at how many trees should be here, where they should be, and which ones they could cut down and which ones to leave to make it more like it was when there were natural fires happening regularly. Then the rangers got to work. They brought in their chainsaws and other tools, and they cut down trees. They gathered the wood into piles, and they let it sit there and dry out for a year or more so that it would be ready to be burned. Then the exciting part happened. They came in and they set fire to the piles. They made sure to do this on days that were not high fire danger, so it wasn't too dry or too windy, so that the fire hopefully would not get out of control. This is real footage from one of the fires set in 2013 and 2014 as part of the Hondo Fuel Reduction Project near our property. You can see the fire getting larger as it starts to burn the wood. Watch as it overtakes one of the trees. When natural forest fires occur on a regular basis and aren't stopped by humans, they usually don't get that big and they don't burn down all the trees in the forest. So when foresters do these prescribed burns, they try to mimic that. There are a few adaptations that ponderosas have for surviving fire. One is the fact that their bark can be up to 4 inches thick, and it's in flaky layers, so if the outside gets scorched and flakes off, the inside's still there and the wood is still protected. Another way that ponderosas survive fires is by killing off their lower branches. A lot of people look at these trees and see all of those dead branches and they think it's from the fire, or maybe the tree's diseased. But it's actually a way for the tree to survive fire. So if a fire is coming through and it starts to burn this tree, it won't be able to climb the tree as quickly or as well because there's no needles left. The needles themselves also shelter the branches that they are on from heat so that the heat of the fire doesn't scorch them. One more way is their root system. It goes very deep, so even if the tree is really burned above ground, hopefully the roots are still intact and the tree might still be able to survive. Oak trees, like you see growing in the open area behind me since the forest fire, are especially adapted to growing right out of their root system if the above ground tree has been killed in the fire. The thinning and burning that happened here left plenty of healthy ponderosa pines behind, with lots of space between them for oaks and other species to grow in. This forest is healthier now, and it's also safer. Imagine if one of these ponderosas got struck by lightning. Would that fire spread as fast and as quickly and as strongly as it would have when all the other trees were there? No, right? And that's because it's good for a forest to have small forest fires, but out of control, huge wildfires are a problem, both for the forest and for humans. It's activity time. I want you to take what you just learned about forest fires in ponderosa forests, and I want you to think about how you think this ecosystem may change in the months and years after a forest fire, whether prescribed or natural. Then I want you to make a list. You can write words or pictures or both, describing 10 ways that you think the forest is going to change. Think about the different parts of an ecosystem, the trees and other producers, the consumers and how they might be affected, the decomposers, and even the abiotic or non-living parts like soil and water and rocks. And then watch our next video about changes in forests after fires and compare your answers and add in anything you may have missed. I hope you've enjoyed this video about forest fire in ponderosa pine forests. You might want to check out my tree ring video or our changes over time in ecosystems video in our field trip series, or to learn more about trees and plants of the area, look at the leaves video in our field trip series. Please like this video below, make sure you subscribe to our channel for more environmental education content from here in New Mexico. Have a good day.